Can you fly a commercial jet upside down? Flight 261 did for 80 seconds before it killed everyone. January 31, 2000. Alaska Airlines MD-83 climbs out of Puerto Vallarta. 88 people heading to San Francisco and Seattle. The jackscrew controlling their horizontal stabilizer is already failing. They just don't know it yet. Captain Ted Thompson has 17,750 flight hours. First Officer William Tansky has 8,140 hours. Two of the most experienced pilots in Alaska's fleet. In 90 minutes they will be holding their aircraft inverted over the Pacific, performing a maneuver that should be impossible in an MD-83. The plane reaches 31,000 feet. Everything seems normal. Passengers settle in. Flight attendants prepare the service. Then the horizontal stabilizer jams. The part that controls pitch, whether the nose goes up or down. It won't move. The jackscrew that drives it has stripped its threads. Years of inadequate lubrication have corroded the acme nut. The threads are disintegrating. What happens next gets recorded on the cockpit voice recorder. Every word. Every alarm. Every impossible decision. The black box will be recovered from 650 feet of ocean. The story it tells is worse than anyone imagined. The jackscrew on N963AS was a ticking clock. Alaska Airlines knew it. The maintenance logs prove it. MD-83 horizontal stabilizer jackscrews need lubrication every 900 flight hours. That's the manufacturer's requirement. McDonnell Douglas was clear. The FAA approved it. Alaska Airlines asked for an extension. They wanted 2,550 flight hours between greasing. Almost 3 times longer. The FAA approved it in 1988. Then Alaska asked again. They wanted 3,600 hours. The FAA approved that too in 1996. The longest interval of any MD-80 operator in the world. But here's what nobody talks about. Alaska wasn't even meeting their own extended interval. N963AS jackscrew hadn't been properly lubricated in over a year. Maintenance records show it was last greased in September 1999. By January 2000, it had flown 1,450 hours past due. The acme nut was grinding metal on metal. John Liotine was the Alaska Airlines maintenance manager. He signed off on the extensions. He approved the intervals. After the crash, investigators found something disturbing. Maintenance logs had been falsified. Jackscrews logged as greased when mechanics never touched them. The pressure to keep planes flying was immense. Alaska was expanding aggressively. Every plane grounded for maintenance meant lost revenue. The MD-83 jackscrew was a simple device. A threaded rod turns inside a threaded nut. Like a giant screw. The nut moves up and down the rod, tilting the horizontal stabilizer. It needs grease to prevent the threads from wearing down. Without lubrication, the threads corrode. Metal dust builds up. The nut starts skipping threads. N963AS took off from Puerto Vallarta with a jackscrew that was already damaged. The threads were 90% worn. The acme nut was holding by a fraction of its design strength. Captain Thompson and First Officer Tansky had no way of knowing. The pre-flight checks showed nothing unusual. But what happened at 31,000 feet revealed the horrible truth. 4:09 p.m. Pacific Time. The horizontal stabilizer won't respond. Captain Thompson tries the electric trim. Nothing. The jackscrew has jammed. The stabilizer is stuck in a nose-down position. Flight 261 starts descending uncontrollably. Thompson radios Los Angeles Air Route Traffic Control. "We are in a dive here." His voice is calm. Professional. He's manually controlling the aircraft with the control column. Pulling back hard. The plane is trying to pitch down. He's fighting it with pure muscle and the elevators. This works temporarily. But it's exhausting. They descend from 31,000 to 24,000 feet. Tansky suggests they try the alternate trim system. Maybe bypassing the electric motor will work. Thompson agrees. They need to get the stabilizer moving again. The passengers feel the dive. Several get airsick. Flight attendants try to keep everyone calm. The pilots extend the slats and flaps. This gives them more control authority. They level off at 22,000 feet. For a few minutes, it seems manageable. They discuss diverting to Los Angeles, the nearest major airport. But they need to fix the stabilizer trim. They can't land like this. For 19 p.m., Tansky activates the alternate trim system. The jackscrew tries to move and catastrophically fails. The remaining threads shear off completely. The Acme nut separates from the jackscrew. The horizontal stabilizer is now completely free. It slams to its full nose-down position. 2.7 degrees. Flight 261 pitches violently forward. Negative G-force. Passengers lift out of their seats. Loose items fly to the ceiling. The aircraft enters an inverted dive. Upside down. Thompson and Tansky are hanging in their harnesses. The ocean is above them through the windscreen. "We're inverted," Tansky says. His voice tight. The MD-83 is not designed for inverted flight. The engines are ingesting air from the wrong direction. The flight controls are backwards. Everything is wrong. But here's what nobody expected. Thompson and Tansky recover it. Through impossible skill and instinct, they roll the aircraft. They use differential thrust and aileron. They get the plane right side up again. It takes 80 seconds of inverted flight. But they do it. At 24,000 feet, Flight 261 is flying again. The cockpit voice recorder captures their breathing. Heavy. Adrenaline-soaked. They've just done something no MD-83 pilots have ever done. They flew inverted and recovered. But the horizontal stabilizer is still jammed full nose down. And they're running out of altitude. They have minutes left. Maybe less. Thompson and Tansky know the situation. The horizontal stabilizer is jammed. They can't trim the aircraft. They're holding it level with brute force on the control column and careful throttle management. But this isn't sustainable. They're burning fuel. Getting lighter. That changes the aerodynamics. And they need to descend to land. Thompson makes a decision. They'll try for Los Angeles. He tells the passengers to prepare for an emergency landing. The flight attendants brief the brace position. Some passengers are praying. Others are writing goodbye notes. They know something is very wrong. The NTSB later recovers these notes from the wreckage. Tucked in seat pockets. Clutched in hands. "I love you. Take care of the kids." Words written at 20,000 feet by people who knew. For 20 p.m. They're descending through 18,000 feet. Still controllable. Thompson is performing a miracle of airmanship. He's flying an aircraft with a jammed stabilizer by feel. Tiny adjustments. Constant vigilance. Tansky is working the radios. Coordinating with Los Angeles Center. They're being vectored for an emergency approach. Then the aerodynamics shift. As the plane gets lighter and slower, the balance changes. The full nose-down stabilizer creates more moment. The elevators can't compensate anymore. The control column is at full aft. Thompson is pulling as hard as he can. It's not enough. 4:21 p.m. Flight 261 pitches down again. Violently. This time they can't stop it. The nose drops 70 degrees. Almost vertical. The aircraft accelerates. 300 knots. 350 knots. The airframe is screaming. Alarms are blaring. Overspeed warnings. Thompson and Tansky try everything. They roll inverted again. Maybe inverted flight will give them control. For a few seconds, it does. The nose comes up slightly. But they're too low now. 10,000 feet. 8,000 feet. Descending at 15,000 feet per minute. Mayday, Thompson transmits his last radio call. Then the aircraft impacts the Pacific Ocean at 4:21 and 50 seconds p.m. Doing 287 knots. Still inverted. The impact force is 100 Gs. Instant. No one survives. The MD-83 disintegrates. Wreckage scatters across the ocean surface. 88 people gone. 2 pilots who performed the impossible twice. And still couldn't save anyone. The NTSB recovers the jackscrew assembly from the ocean floor. The Acme nut threads are completely stripped. 90% worn. The lubrication is almost non-existent. Black residue. Metal particles. The smoking gun. This part should have been greased 1,450 flight hours ago. The records said it was. The records lied. Investigators interview Alaska Airlines mechanics. Some admit they falsified logs. The pressure was enormous. Planes needed to fly. Maintenance took time. Supervisors wanted quick turnarounds. So jackscrews got signed off without inspection. Without lubrication. It was systemic. The NTSB final report is 232 pages. It concludes that Alaska Airlines' extended lubrication intervals caused the crash. The FAA approved those intervals but shouldn't have. The oversight failed. Alaska's maintenance culture prioritized schedule over safety. And 88 people paid with their lives. After Flight 261, the FAA overhauled jackscrew inspection requirements. Every MD-80 operator in the world returned to the original 900-hour interval. Alaska Airlines faced criminal investigation. In 2011, they settled. No criminal charges. But civil penalties. And a destroyed reputation. The families of Flight 261 received settlements. Money doesn't bring anyone back. But the lawsuit uncovered documents Alaska wanted buried. Emails showing executives knew the jackscrew intervals were risky. Memos discussing the cost of more frequent maintenance versus the probability of failure. A calculated risk that went catastrophically wrong. Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer William Tansky are remembered in aviation circles. What they did recovering from inverted flight twice in an MD-83 is studied in flight schools. They had seconds to process an impossible situation. And they performed flawlessly. It just wasn't enough. The jackscrew had doomed them before they ever left Puerto Vallarta. The wreckage of N963AS rests on the Pacific floor. Scattered across the seabed. A monument to what happens when maintenance becomes optional. When profit margins matter more than thread depth. When 4 inches of corroded metal decides whether 88 people live or die. If your next flight is on an MD-80, know that mechanics are checking that jackscrew because of what happened here. Hitting subscribe won't change the past, but remembering it might matter for the next flight that hasn't left the ground yet. There's another jackscrew case the industry doesn't talk about, a different airline, a near miss in 2004 that almost repeated this exact failure, except 3 mechanics broke protocol and grounded the plane anyway, and what happened to their careers reveals why Flight 261's warnings were ignored in the first place. Send this to someone who needs to hear it. Then subscribe for a new dark truth every day.